Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 27 is already at beta 2 and Apple is finally on track and getting things right, and very early on too. Apple continues focusing on bug fixes, stability, and improvements in iOS 27, and it's great to finally see it. In this video, we'll talk about the latest Apple news, many new features, and the overall experience. Not just my experience, but your experience based off the YouTube community poll on the post page, where at the time of this video, there's over 13,000 votes and 140 comments. I've gone over all the comments to determine what the update is like for most of us, so be sure to stick around toward the end of the video where I'll read some of your comments as well. Now, Apple raised prices on Macs, iPads, Vision Pro, refurbished items, HomePod, HomePod Mini 2, and Apple TV this week due to memory costs. Some of the price increases are quite shocking, and Apple later gave a statement to Mac Rumors on why they raised them. They said the consumer electronics industry is facing an unprecedented challenge. The rapid expansion of AI data centers has created an extraordinary surge in demand for memory and storage. We have never seen a component price increase this much, this quickly. We have shielded our customers from these increases so far, but we have now reached a point where we need to begin raising prices on a number of products, including today's increases for iPad and Mac. We know this is not welcome news, and we are working tirelessly to find solutions. So I just thought I'd update you on that, as they definitely increased prices, with the MacBook Pro 16-inch being over $10,000 fully configured. So quite a big jump in price increases overall, and some of the price increases are a bit insane with refurbished price increases. I thought maybe they would run out their current inventory and then bump them up once the new inventory comes in. Now, if you installed macOS 27 Beta 2 Golden Gate, the Siri waitlist workaround no longer works. So if you actually are on the Siri waitlist within Siri, unfortunately you can't use the workaround any longer on macOS. Apple this week also released a new ad on YouTube. You can see it here on their site on YouTube. It says World Surf League x Apple, how Apple Watch changed pro surfing. So again, it's showing the durability of Apple Watch, surfing with it, and it definitely can handle that. In fact, someone on X asked if they could go swimming with it, and this definitely survives that. I've used it in salt water, no issues whatsoever. So it's definitely very durable. And again, this is Apple showing that. Now, Apple released a new iOS 27 design kit this week to be used with Figma and Sketch. This is for the developer app. So if you have the developer app installed, you may have got a notification. So that's something such as what's new in design. And you'll see a little notification that said the design kits were now available for iOS 27, iPadOS 27, and macOS 27. So again, with iOS 27's new liquid glass implementation, some refinements there and more. Vision Pro's future is not looking good, as the upcoming CEO, John Ternus, is said to have put it on the back burner for now. Apple's focusing more on smart glasses, maybe they'll have augmented reality glasses in the future, but on Friday, Apple's Vision Pro chief has now left Apple to go work for OpenAI. So it looks like Vision OS will be around for some time, but now Apple even raised the price on Vision Pro, and I think it's just not as mainstream as they had hoped. But let me know what you think of it. I think it's an amazing piece of hardware, but something that I don't think many people want to wear all day long, but something definitely worth using. When it comes to new features this week, well, I wanted to mention quite a few things we have to go over. One of those has to do with the compass icon. This was updated in the latest update. It has a lot more detail that you can see here, so that's the latest version of it. There's also updates, slight updates to the FaceTime icon as well as the Tips icon. So if we go in here, and if you're using the Tips app, that's something that's been updated as well. Again, very slightly though, but the compass icon gets the biggest change. If we go into the new Siri app, if you have that, if you're in a supported region, and we go to these options here, we now have a couple icons as well as the option to select multiple conversations and then delete them immediately. So you can remove more than one at a time, and they continue to refine this. Also, when you go to set up Siri for the first time, it has new prompts for what to say. Thanks to Dakota for sending this in, but basically there's new prompts where it has you set it up so that it understands how your voice works and what it sounds like. Also, when you go into settings, again, thanks to Dakota for pointing this out, if we go into settings, then general, then we go down to transfer or reset iPhone, then we go to reset, there's more options this time around. So now we have reset all settings, reset network settings, delete all eSIMs, reset keyboard dictionary, reset handwriting style, reset home screen layout, reset location and privacy. So there's additional options here that we didn't have before. Also, another thing that's sort of going away is Apple's airport utility. Apple has said that the airport utility app will no longer be available in iOS 27. However, if you've already downloaded it in the past, previously had an airport I had one of those. That's Apple's routers, but they no longer make them. You can re-download it, but it may not work. So they're sort of getting rid of support for that entirely. Now within Mail, if you're using the tracking option that you have in Wallet to track your maybe different things that you've ordered, it works really great. And there's a new graphic that goes along with it within the Mail app. If we go into Mail, within Mail, you can see the order here at the top, and then we have additional options to manage, or we have a little arrow here. Now this has already been delivered for me, but it's showing that it's not fully delivered. If we tap on the arrow, we now have Manage Order, Open in Wallet, or Track Order. So it's a nice new graphic that shows up automatically within the Mail app. Now, if we go into Freeform, there's a new option. This is technically in beta 1 as well, but we have the option to create folders now. If you're in the main page of Freeform, you can then create a folder and then add additional items to it. Another thing that's also in beta 1 is if we press one of the volume buttons and the power sleep wake button to sort of go to the main screen where we can slide to power off. I showed that that had a redesign before, but also Medical ID and SOS emergency call has a redesign, and it's now highlighted in red. So I think this looks great, and it shows you what exactly you would need. Just slide and you can make an emergency call or whatever you need here. Now back to beta 2 features. If we go into shortcuts this time, within shortcuts, we now have the option, if we're making an automation, to enable or disable the automation individually. So there's now a switch here, and you can just simply turn it on or off. If we go into the camera, I've shown before, if you're using macro, it now highlights it a little bit differently with a yellow ring around the icon. But if we spin the camera around, you'll see the same highlight on some of the options here that are already included. So it just sort of lets you know that everything's enabled and then working. And you'll see if we go back, again, spin the camera around it, then highlights with that yellow ring. If we go into the Photos app, here's a photo I took before that's in RAW and JPEG as well. But if we go into our options here to edit and then go into our new tools, they now work with RAW photos. So you can use cleanup, extend, or reframe, again, with RAW photos. If we go into our home app and maybe we have a HomeKit camera here, you'll see this is in my studio. You'll see that we have it just looking at a little Lego car. But if maybe you get a notification from this, it actually will suggest things nearby to help you view it better. So maybe you have lights nearby. You could then turn them on directly from it, from within the notification that you long pressed on. Also, paired Matter devices will now show power usage if equipped. So I don't have any of those devices, but if they are using Matter, they'll tell you the actual power usage here if it has that option. If we go into the Weather app, there's some changes here to just some of the icons in general. So let's go into Weather here on beta 1 on the left, beta 2 on the right. They've changed some of the text. Now this is pretty mild here, but you'll see here where it says temperature versus intensity. So if we switch back over, some of it's a little bit more highlighted or easier to read. So you'll see temperatures easier to read here. And if we go through maybe some of the options, you'll see that throughout the OS. So it's just slight design changes, but it's a little easier and more legible. There's also a slight change with the impersonation risk detection under privacy and security. You'll see the icon has been updated. So it has a little check and an X next to it, where before it was just a check mark. If we go into it, again, it's changed as well. So before we had more information about it, now they've changed some of the text here. So again, beta 1's on the left, beta 2 on the right, and now we have share with app developers and then recent activity, and it talks about it. When it comes to app updates, Apple updated their Invites app. You'll see we have a new version, 1.9.0. A few days ago it was released, and you'll see it now says co-hosting is now available, letting you easily plan and manage your party with others. New event backgrounds help you set the mood for your next coffee catch-up, boba run, ice cream social, and more. And also hosts can now choose to make invited guests visible to all attendees. Also, the update contains bug fixes and performance improvements. I would love to know what those are, but Apple continues to use that. As far as other updates, well, if you use WhatsApp, it seems like they're rolling out search on WhatsApp channels now on iPhone finally. This has been a feature for quite some time on Android, and it's now rolling out to iOS. You can see it on WA Beta info. So if we drop this down here, you can see what it looks like. You can now search throughout different channels. So that's something that's now available, or at least rolling out for now. Also, when it comes to releases this week, we had a new AirPods beta firmware update for iOS 27. It's version 9A304B. I covered it in detail in a separate video, but if we go into our settings here, we'll go back, go up to the top, go into AirPods Pro 3. Again, you can see the new version 9A304B. It seems to have fixed the issue with swiping to adjust the volume. However, some people, after updating this, claim that that doesn't work at all, and typically what fixes it is just rebooting your iPhone, so that seems to resolve that issue. As far as other releases we can expect, well, so far we haven't seen iOS 26.5.2. MacRumors has seen it in their analytics. We would expect it very soon, but based on what we know already, I would say we'll probably see it next week at this point. We don't have any guarantee of this. Apple has skipped these versions before, but we're still a few weeks off from iOS 26.6. And speaking of iOS 26.6, we could see iOS 26.6 Beta 3 this coming week as well, and also iOS 27 Public Beta is said to release in July. Usually before Apple does that, they'll release maybe a re-release of the current version, so we could see iOS 27 Beta 2 re-release, then maybe iOS 27 Public Beta, and then it would be a week or two until we see the next beta. So we don't really have any specific dates, as Apple hasn't said yet, but that's usually what happens. We'll have betas throughout July and August into September, or we'll have a public release usually in mid-September around the next iPhone launch. So that's what we expect with that. And also, speaking of the next iPhone, with the recent price increases, new rumors are saying to expect a $200 price increase on the iPhone 18 Pro models this year. Now, we don't know this for sure. We don't know what Apple will do, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did see that, bumping up the price on both the Pro and Pro Max models. And we could also see a much higher starting price for the iPhone Fold or iPhone Ultra than expected now too. So hopefully we don't, but that's something we could see very soon. When it comes to the overall experience, well, I mentioned the AirPods already. I've been using the new beta, and using it on iOS 27 Beta 2, it works great. Again, using it on any of the new betas, visionOS 27 Beta 2 and macOS 27 Golden Gate Beta 2, it's been working great for me. Using it on macOS Tahoe, however, I had quite a few breakups today. There's not a whole lot of devices that were active in this room, and for whatever reason, it would just drop out. I'd have to take them out, put them back in the case, close it, reopen it, and then try it again, and it would work for a while. So I'm seeing that on and on with macOS Tahoe, but again, with macOS Golden Gate, I'm not seeing that so far. As far as iOS 27 Beta 2's experience, it's finally on track. It's doing quite well, and it's not perfect, but so far it's very smooth for most people. You'll see it's very smooth here. Occasionally it will hiccup, but just scrolling seems to be great. Scrolling back here to the home screen is much better than it was on iOS 26. Unlocking the phone, scrolling up, swiping over, again, it's nice and fast. Many micro stutters are now gone, and also the indexing bug seems to be gone. Now, some people have seen some notifications about that, but indexing is still going on this iPhone Air that's on Beta 1. So I use this for comparison, and you'll see here, indexing in progress. It took a week to finish on my 17 Pro Max, but with Beta 2, it's no longer there. Also, the keyboard is now showing properly for most people. This is still a bug from time to time, but if we go into Notes, go into the keyboard, it seems to work okay. Some people are still having issues with it, but it seems to mostly be resolved. Most people report that RAM management is much better, so if we go back into YouTube, for example, it didn't reload that time. Go into Music, I haven't opened it yet, but then go back into maybe Podcasts, again, didn't open it. Here, let's go back into YouTube. It's not reloading, and it seems like you can open many more apps, and RAM management is working better. When it comes to Apple CarPlay, it is working better, for me at least, but it still drops out for many. It does drop occasionally for me, but before with Beta 1, I had it drop as many as 4 times in about 20 minutes, so it was almost unusable, and now it seems like it's much better. But again, not perfect at this point. Also, texting is failing through CarPlay often for many people. It seems a little bit slow and laggy on CarPlay. Some touch bugs exist from time to time. I've seen it where I go to open an app and it does nothing. Sometimes I have to lock the phone, unlock it, swipe up, then touch it again and it works. I'm seeing that on watchOS 27 Beta 2 as well. There's also some odd syncing issues with iMessage and iCloud, and also I keep getting this prompt to set up Talk to Siri. Now the odd thing is, if we go into this and then we go to continue to set up, we go here, we'll turn it on, and then tomorrow I'll see the same prompt. This will be fine throughout the day today. However, it's still persistent on Beta 1 for many. It's just showing up and not going away for many. Also, Wi-Fi is dropping out still, not as much as it was before. So you'll see Wi-Fi is connected. It's still working fine. But with Beta 1, it would often drop out, switch to cellular, and then jump back. So it looks like it's working better, but again, still happening. When it comes to the wallpaper dimming bug, you'll see how vibrant this wallpaper is. Swipe up. It seems mostly okay. But again, it's not perfect. Some people are reporting it's an issue. Also, some issues are occurring with color shifting on the home screen folders, or some screens with text appear completely blank. Also, some apps will crash from time to time, and built-in apps such as podcasts and other things. I haven't really experienced that too much, but I've seen some odd things on macOS 27 Beta 2. I went to move the cursor on Safari and it completely closed out Safari. Sometimes I couldn't click on things, so for whatever reason, the touch bugs are still there, but across all the OSs. Messages I had load completely blank a couple times as well. Now with iOS 18.7.9, many people are staying on that. They're very happy staying on iOS 18, having the latest security updates. However, it looks like iOS 26.6 Beta 2 and its overall experience has basically taken the place of iOS 18. iOS 26 is finally at the place where it's super smooth. So again, let's try this out. Swipe up, scroll over. Everything's super smooth here. No real issues, no problems whatsoever. And it looks like it's finally stable and fixed. Thermal issues have been resolved, and it has solid battery life. So why it took this long, we don't know, but it's definitely better. As for iOS 26.5.1 and iOS 26.5, well, we know it's buggy at this point, it's not great, and many people are just looking forward to iOS 26.6 for now, or iOS 27. When it comes to overall heat, well, my iPhone has actually been fairly cool with iOS 27 Beta 2, maybe a little warm from time to time as it's working in the background, but nothing like it was on Beta 1. Let's go ahead and run benchmarks on both of these with 26.6 and 27 Beta 2 and see how they compare. So let's go into it, we'll run benchmarks and see what the heat is like when we're about halfway through. With iOS 27 Beta 2 on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, you can see at the hottest point, we're right around 37 degrees Celsius. On iOS 26.6 Beta 2 on a 17 Pro Max, at the hottest point, maybe around 35 degrees Celsius. So definitely a couple degrees cooler, but that's what many people are saying about the update. Now benchmarks completed, and you'll see iOS 26.6 Beta 2 on the left, 27 Beta 2 on the right. Usually if I run this a few times, we can get the multi-core scores to bump over 10,000. So sometimes it's just a little bit low for some reason. But you'll see single core is 3,870 compared to 3,778. Very close there. 9,422 compared to 9,322. If we take a look at what we had the other day, we had a little bit higher scores, much higher for 26.6. So again, if I ran this a few times, it's definitely going to bump up, but usually it's within 200 to 400 depending on when you're running it. So again, both these devices are nice and cool even after running those benchmarks. And again, it's performing very well. So performance-wise, super smooth across the board, even on older devices as well. Now, as far as battery life, let's go ahead and take a look at that. First, let's take a look at 26.6 Beta 2. Thanks to Cameron for sending in his battery life. This is on an iPhone 17 Pro Max running iOS 26.6 Beta 2. You'll see he had 5 hours and 58 minutes of screen active time, 1 hour and 6 minutes of screen idle time, and used 81% of the battery. So it definitely could be better, but it is easily getting him through the day typically, but I've seen this as high as 10 to 12 hours of screen on time. So usually it will increase over time, and if we give it a few days, it will probably get even better. But you'll see Facebook Messenger was being used a lot, and that uses a lot of power. If we take a look at my battery, we'll go into settings, battery, and battery health. I've been using iOS 27 Beta 2 full time, and I have 100% capacity with 119 cycles. If we take a look at my daily usage here, today, so far, I've used it for 2 hours and 21 minutes of screen active time, 1 hour of screen idle time, and I've used 45% of the battery. The day before, 4 hours and 23 minutes using 89% of the battery. So it's not great, but it's better than Beta 1 for me. So it's getting me through the day for the most part, maybe about 5 to 6 hours typically. Now, also worth mentioning is Beta 2 does have better battery life compared to most people using Beta 1, according to the comments. 67% now have good battery life compared to 59% in Beta 1. Now, if you're wondering if you should install iOS 27 Beta 2, at this point, if you're on Beta 1, absolutely. If you're not on Beta 1 and you're trying to solve an issue on 26.5 or 26.5.1, I would not install this beta yet. It has a little ways to go. It's much better than previous betas this early on, but at this point, I would hold off, at least for the public beta. But just make sure you have a backup if you do want to try this, as it takes a computer in order to downgrade it. Now, as far as the overall update and what it's like for you, let's take a look at some of your comments. Bishul's Official said, I'm on iOS 27 Beta 2 on 17 Pro Max. So far, Wi-Fi bug is fixed, and so far, so smooth beta ever. It will be more stable than iOS 26. Sean Rebrahim says, I'm running iOS 27 Beta 2 on my iPhone Air. It runs really smoothly, much smoother than iOS 26. The only thing is the Siri app lags, and my phone gets hot when I use Siri. Man the Mat said, I use iOS 27 Beta 2 on my iPhone 12 mini. It feels about the same as using iOS 26, except with some stability and performance increases. Kinda bummed there aren't as many new features I can use on my phone when upgrading, but landscape has been nice. Same thing really with my iPad 10th gen. DEC19 I2V said, so far on my iPhone 13 on iOS 27 Beta 2, it seems far better than iOS 26.5. Far less stuttering, better RAM management, less lagging and freezing, especially when using the camera, etc. Hopefully it stays like this and keeps getting better. Spiderman2386N8U said, iOS 27 Beta 2 has been awesome on my Air. No lag, no stutters, a few UI issues here and there, but rock-solid performance and battery has been even a little better than iOS 26. Quad Rider Honda said, using iOS 26.6 Beta 2, it's been much better for me compared to iOS 26.5.1 on my 17 Pro Max. It's been really smooth and great performance. I'm ready for Beta 3 and the RC, looking most forward to iOS 27 this September. David Szymanski 5806 said, iOS 27 Beta 2 is running well on my iPhone 13 Pro Max. The setup To Siri Bug is still present and won't go away even after tapping into it. There is also very frequent dropouts of CarPlay when using iPhone with my 2021 Toyota RAV4. User experience is very smooth and pleasant other than the bugs. iOS 26.6 Beta 2 is on the left, 27 Beta 2 is on the right, and you'll see iOS is definitely a lot larger. 16.11 gigabytes for iOS itself compared to 14.58, and Apple Intelligence is 16.1 gigabytes compared to 7.53. What it's using specifically, I don't know. Maybe this will change over time. And then system data is 18.93 gigabytes. Again, completely fine as long as it's not taking up a ton of your storage and using everything up. That's typically a bug, but if it's going up and down from, say, 60 gigabytes or so, that seems to be fine. Now with iOS 18 and iOS 26.5.1 and iOS 26.5, basically we're just waiting for the next update to be super stable. And I think we're going to see that. iOS 26.6 is so much better. It took until iOS 26.6, it seems, for iOS 26 to become smooth and stable and fix the issues it had to start. This is not surprising, and while it's great that it's working better, it just took a long time. Now, of course, we're more focused on iOS 27, as that is improving iOS even more in many ways. And iOS 27 feels like the old Apple is back. iOS 27 Beta 2 is very fluid and fast, and great for just a second beta. For an early beta, this is probably the best I remember in many years, and while iOS 27 Beta 2 is definitely not perfect, it's far better than any place I remember iOS 26 being at the same point last year. So it seems like we're back on track here. It's great to see Apple's renewed focus on stability, speed, battery life, and quality again, and I'm hopeful this will not be a repeat of iOS 26 upon its public release this year. So I'm really hopeful we'll see really a stable release, and it will be much better than iOS 26 is, even at 26.6. And so that's everything with iOS 27 Beta 2, iOS 26.6 Beta 2, iOS 26.5.1, and iOS 26.5. Hopefully we'll get a new beta this coming week, we'll get the public beta released, and then many more people will be using it and experiencing the overall stability. Again, at this point, it's so early on and it's so stable at this point, I'm really pretty encouraged that it's going to be a good release this year. Hopefully that doesn't change though. Let me know how it's going for you on your device and what you're using, and of course, as always, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.